All right, welcome everybody to the new live stream. And here we are talking about conscious identity, discovering the unlimited you. So we've got to realize that our wanting to have health, wealth, happiness signifies their presence, not absence. Kind of counterintuitive. As scientists, we stand for the fact that life or God is individual conscious experience. And this knowledge is not an awareness separate from life, capital L, but is life itself living as mind I, and is the reason for the techniques which evolve for the identity of health or wholeness on every belief level. See, if health or wholeness were not the reality, capital R, present in every concept, mankind would be without hope when confronted with the changes which intelligence, truth, in the evolution of consciousness creates for its identity. The cure for sin and disease lies in the recognition that in all concepts, if reality is the concept, now we are the sons of God. This fact is appearing in the language of our discernment because of what we are, the conscious infinitude of existence. Each individual has the desire, the potential to be self-consciously whole. And therefore, the problem is never the disease, sorrow, suffering, but always the finite or partial vision which mistakes the suiciding material personality for conscious identity, infinite individuality. So I may say understanding has the power to remove all limitations, all obstacles, but I think understanding is the power, the energy of spirit, the unconditioned thinking that knows no obstacles to remove. The modern physicist is rapidly becoming a metaphysicist. The discoveries in the physical realm force the conclusion that nothing is physical in the sense of lifeless, inanimate, unintelligent matter. Machines have already been invented that will do more orderly thinking than the human brain. See, it's been discovered that life may be created in a test tube. And could man create life that would grow and reproduce itself if life, spirit, and mind were not present to be discerned in and as all life forms? Not long ago, there was an article entitled Molecular Structure of God, indicating that life, mind, is the life of everything. So welcome, Betty. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Excellent. All right. So I just want to ask a couple questions to kick this off. How can my wanting something be proof it's already present? This seems kind of backwards. You know, if I want money, isn't that because I don't have enough?
Well, it's because you have given money a value in your experience that makes you want more. It's like eating ice cream or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it really, if it's not focused, if it's just a random way of feeling all the time, it tends to take you off purpose, tends to make you scattered, uh, a little chaos in the way you live, that
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing.
Right. So
It needs, it
how
needs,
can how can my wanting something be proof that it's already present, though?
well, how would you know to want? Like, you want some of that?
Yeah.
You don't know about that, do you?
No.
But if I say ice cream, yeah,
Yeah.
I know about that.
Right. So already present,
It's always present.
always present.
What you want is always derived from the past.
Okay. All
There's
right.
no want that's in the future.
Okay.
You think there is. Oh, tomorrow I'd like to have $1 million, but that's right now. Think
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, who knows?
Right. Right. I guess so. Yeah. So, next question to kick this off. What do you mean by reality is the concept? Can you give a practical example of how this works in daily life?
Yeah. Well, we have Mary Baker Eddy's statement that from the rolling of worlds in the most subtle ether to a potato patch, all is mind.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, so reality, which is mind in action, is all that's actually ever going on. And
Right.
we spend our energy on our point of view of that reality rather than being in touch with the facts that are real.
Oh, got it. So reality is the concept because we're in touch with our point of view about.
Yeah, reality is what's present.
No matter what our point of view is. And our point of
And your
view,
point
we
of view
tend
is
to
what's your point of view.
right, and we're looking in the world that we live in and we're thinking that's reality. Really, it's just our point of view of the one reality present. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, very good. Um, all right. Anything else that you want to add to this inquiry or this exploration that we'll be having tonight?
Well, I've really enjoyed it actually, working on this subject, since every day, all day long, and every night too, for that matter, what we're confronted with is our point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to think that that point of view is real.
Right.
And we tend to want to cater to our point of view of our point of view.
Exactly.
You know, I
Yeah.
like ice cream. I want strawberry. I want it tonight. Get me a dish of ice cream, please, right now. You know,
Yeah.
it's it's sort of an oversimplification, but we live ourselves that way. We live ourselves thinking that something we view in the picture that we live in should take up all of our attention,
Mm-hmm.
which it does for most. And then we wonder why we have a problem. And the problem is always, and I mean always, a point of view on something real that we have seen differently. And we are really um, concerned with our view without realizing that it has nothing to do with what's actually present.
Okay. Yeah, we've bought into the picture, if you will.
Yeah, or we think the picture is the way it is.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Very good. Shall we jump into the quotes?
Mm-hmm.
In Christian Science Re-Explored on page 139, Margaret Laird said, material sense is an absurd phrase. And she goes on to say, whence the objects of material sense, if there is no material sense.
Yep. So why is it an absurd phrase? Because material senses have not the capacity to speak truth.
Right.
When truth speaks, it may look like you talking or me talking or someone else talking. But if truth is speaking, you hear the truth.
Right. Well, if there's no such thing as material sense, then what am I actually experiencing when I touch something solid or feel pain or whatever?
You're relating to the substance of your own being. Um, Feeling something physically in your experience is a sensation of the human body. It has nothing to do with what's actually present. If I didn't look at it and recognize that I was touching a computer, I would have all kinds of ideas of what it was that I was feeling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
I remember wasn't there a story at one time about an elephant? And depending on where you touched it, you had no idea what it was.
Right. It was blind people, and they were brought in to touch an elephant, describe what it was they were touching.
Right.
And they had all kinds of descriptions, but not one of them was elephant.
Right.
Because one had the long trunk, one had the tail, one had the foot. And if that's all you've got in your vision of elephant, you likely won't describe elephant.
Yeah. And what you might realize, the same analogy, is that when you're looking at the view in front of you, you're not in touch with the reality present. You're just in touch with the view that you have, which is your point of view, and it's not necessarily existent the way you see it.
Right.
So it gives you some negotiating thing with not believing everything you see.
Right. Right. When you say we mistake our material personality for true identity, it's kind of like what we've been talking about just now. How do I know the difference? What does conscious identity actually feel like?
Well, what I really want to point up at this juncture is somebody comes along and says, "Oh, I know you. I know who you are." Do they? Not a prayer. They know what they see. So they know what their view is of what they call you. They have no way to know you. Same
Okay.
thing is true with you looking at yourself. If
Right.
you buy the picture you see in the mirror, and if you were convinced that that was all there was to you, how limited would your life be?
Right. Right. And yet we do that all the time. I mean, it's the same question of, how can I want money if wouldn't I only want money if I don't have any kind of thing? That's the whole.
Oh, well, people that have lots of it still want more.
It's true. True. All right.
The value structure that you've put on your belief about money.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
yeah, and science really kind of leads us along the way of recognizing that we aren't limited in any direction unless we decide we are. If we decide that the good that we'd like to have required money and we didn't have any, then we would get to live with lack.
Mm-hmm.
We would get to live with inability. We would get to live with disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
etc., all the way down the line. So the world that we construct with our belief about money doesn't actually exist outside of the dreamer that's got it going on.
Right.
Money has no capacity to satisfy.
Right.
It's what you have going on about whatever it is that you're wanting to acquire or
Right.
need to use the money for. That's the story, not money itself.
Right. Right. I can get that. All right. So in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy wrote, understanding casts out error and heals the sick. And let's see. Without it, understanding, you
No,
can.
with it.
Oh, with it. Sorry, my bad. With it, that is understanding, you can speak as one having authority.
Yes. And that's important to know.
Right.
Have you ever felt like a fool when you spoke up firmly for something you had no understanding of?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
You know
makes me
what
not
that
want to
feels
speak
like.
up anymore. But let me ask you this. What's the difference between intellectual knowledge and the kind of understanding that has healing power?
Well, understanding may have you looking at the view as if it were healed, but understanding, if it's actually what's present, has nothing that needs to be healed.
Right.
And it's important to see that because the key in science is that all is infinite mind. So then infinite understanding is present.
Right.
But if I take it from a personal point of view, I have a very limited access to what's actually present.
Right.
And when I have access to the understanding that what's present, what's actually present is reality, then what's actually present is always understanding, clarity, joy, freedom, abundance, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
So it behooves me to pay attention to what I'm saying, what I'm doing, where I'm coming from, because it's as you say, you know, I know somebody, who was it? Probably Margaret Laird, they said, well, where does it come from? She says, it's as you say.
Mm-hmm.
We make the world we walk through because we constitute that world.
Right.
Nobody has a world like I have. You have the world you walk through, and there may be things that you relate to what you call another, but actually that whole thing is your world. The
Right.
world I have, which may include what I call Kim, is not the world that you have that you include called Betty. They're
Right.
different. Everybody has their own world. We make the world we walk through as we walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Right.
always totally responsible, whether I admit it or not,
Mm-hmm.
for the world I'm walking through because I constitute it as I go. I actually create it as I go.
And then we either like it or we don't like it. And if we don't like it, we don't want to own that we created it as we went along.
Well, we're not, if you don't want the world you're walking through, it means you're not being responsible because you're living as if accidentally you fell into this situation and somehow another accident may bail you out. And that isn't going to happen because you're making it all the time. And your worst fears are what are going to come up because you're making that as you go too.
Right.
And sometimes your greatest aspirations are going to come up too, especially if you devote your attention to having that occur.
Right.
Because all it is, all the difference is how much attention you put on it. That which I attend to really carefully and thoroughly is what I have going on in my world.
Right. Got it. Okay.
And as well as what I'm not attending to.
Right. Right.
If I'm not attending to safety, I'm going to step in front of a bus. I have to pay attention and allow intelligence to move me.
Right. So in your book, Mind as the Athlete on page 138, you wrote, the observable world is a view or language without sustainable reality of its own.
That's right. Without my point of view, it doesn't exist.
Right.
It has no substance.
Right.
It can't be seen, heard, felt, touched, or anything else if I am not there with it.
Right.
And then it's only taking my word for it because you have no idea whether what I say actually is what's there.
Right. So would you say that we mistake oftentimes our material personality for our true identity?
All the time.
Well, how do we know the difference? How do we really get access to it, a real handle on knowing the difference?
You know the difference intuitively. If I look at you and say, well, there's a criminal, what do you immediately say?
Uh-uh. That's
How
not
do
who
you know that?
I know that
How do you know that?
because I do.
It doesn't tell me how.
I know, but I just know.
Yeah, you know that you consciously exist,
Yeah.
and you know that you have a point of view, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
It does not include criminality, criminal behavior, whatever.
Yeah.
And it includes other things that you can list. And therefore, you know generally what you would or would not be likely to do. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's moments where it's really clear, like there's moments in that, and I don't mean to say in that silence or whatever, but in that calm, kind of quiet. Maybe I'm walking down, early in the morning and I'm outside and I'm walking and it's all still. And in that moment, you get this sense of so much more grandness than what is contained here.
Well, yeah, you get the infinite presence that you are,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of it, and you just
Exactly.
enjoy it.
Exactly. And that's another way when you say, well, how do you know? It's like because there's
And that's when you're not being personal.
right.
You you might even say you feel like you're outside of yourself
Yeah.
because what you are is outside of the person being all of it. And when
Yeah.
you're being all of it, it's a whole different story.
Yeah. And I guess that we could say that that's what conscious identity feels like.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
Conscious awareness, conscious identity, very good way to identify.
Yeah.
Yep.
And because anything I'm observing the is language.
Yep.
My computer, my phone, the circumstances in my life, the whole thing, that's all just observable world or a view without any sustainable reality of its own. So what has it sustain or appear like it just keeps persisting?
What is so anyway is that all is infinite mind.
Mhm.
And so you may call it having a good job or learning something new and wonderful or taking care of the family or you name it.
Mhm.
What is actually present is being itself being, calling itself Kim.
Mhm.
Now, if you get hooked onto Kim's personal preferences,
Mhm.
I like this, I don't like that,
Right.
then you've stepped outside of your ability to live yourself whole because you've already got not that, this, not that,
Right.
this.
Okay,
And
I
so
get it. So if all is infinite mind, it's not this, not that.
that's right. You can't pick and choose. You live it
Oh,
whole or you're not whole. And then
right.
you wonder why not. Not fair. Not my turn.
Right.
You know,
I get it. Okay. Observable phenomena, all forms are merely language, views of what is actually present. That's exactly what we've just been distinguishing.
hmm
So, in Christian Science for Explored, back to Margaret Laird, she wrote, ideas evolved a language or myth for their identity.
hmm
I think that's interesting. Language or myth.
Yeah, we make it up.
Right. So all language is myth then.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not fact. The
Okay.
only fact is that I said so.
Right.
Therefore, I live with what I said. It's as you say, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So how do I distinguish between the idea behind something or as a ground of being for something and mistaking the form for the idea?
How do you,
And maybe that was confusing, but how do I distinguish the idea? And maybe that's form follows function and idea is function.
right? An idea is not function, but its action is function.
Action is function.
Yeah.
Right. So mistaking the form for the idea is where you go
Well,
off.
if the idea is satisfaction, look at how many forms that takes.
Right,
So you focus in on where you're concentrating at the moment and you think, oh, that's wonderful. And it
right,
is, but it doesn't limit it to nothing else being wonderful.
right. Okay. And now any invention viewed as a material object is constructive and destructive. Constructive because it is the magic of an idea, and destructive because the object is mistaken for the idea.
That's right.
Now tell me more about that destructive, like because we mistake it, that's the false sense of, you know,
Suppose the thing that made me happy was having a large amount of ice cream,
right?
and I had a large amount of ice cream.
Yes.
Can you see if that might be destructive?
Yes.
Okay,
Because it seemed like a good idea until you had all the ice cream and now you have a bellyache.
maybe so.
All right, I get it. Okay. And in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy said this: soul can never reflect anything inferior to spirit.
Yeah, read the note about that
Yep.
too.
Soul is the substance, life, and intelligence of man, which is individualized, but not in matter.
Yeah. And what do you mean by that word matter?
All of the language
Yeah,
world.
your point of view.
Right,
Yeah. So it's the point of view is not the fact.
right. It's just a point of view.
Yeah. And so you can't put you don't want to stake anything on that.
Right, right,
You want to stake it on fact.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, the thing that we want to pay attention to is an understanding of the way it looks is not the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
When I understand that, I will not be staking anything on the way it looks.
Right,
And we stake a lot on the way it looks, from the buying of clothes, the way we wear our hair, the cars we drive, the jobs we like, the people we like, on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
right,
Yeah. So you have to be consistent with your living and you look for ideas. And most of us learn to be, or at least we're the most consistent with the friends we choose. You know, we at least have an internal structure that responds. Oh, I like that. Good sense of humor, smart, etc. Whatever. Likes to play games, whatever your list includes. But we stretch that all the time because there's like no end to the ideas available to engage. And and if we're alert and living ourselves with any sense of creativity, we're paying attention to the new stuff that comes up all the time.
right,
I don't do things the way I did 20 years ago. Why not? They were fine 20 years ago. But I want to be today, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. I don't
right,
want to live in the past. I don't want all of my actions to be reflective of something I knew back when I was 2 or
right,
10 or
right,
20 or 50. I
right,
want to be current. And that's not easy because we like to get kind of set in our ways. This is perfectly fine for me. It's the way I'm going to live. Well, the minute you do that to yourself, you're out of touch with the way things are now, now, now,
right.
now.
Well, let me ask you this. If soul is my true substance, soul capital S, why do I experience limitation and problems in daily life? Is it because I bought the picture? Like what is it that has me experience limitation and problems? then in my daily life?
Well, my point of view would be that if I consider that what I see when I look in the mirror is all there is to me,
Mm-hmm.
then I can begin to list all the reasons why I'm limited, all the reasons why he, she, or it doesn't like me, all
Mm-hmm.
the reasons why this is the right way to go, this is good, that's bad, and I make a decision all the way along about everything. That's all right, this is not.
Right.
You know, it's in the way you live yourself. Um, your experience of life is determined by who you're being and where you're standing. And if I'm standing in the conviction that this two-legged thing that I see in the mirror had better shape up and do its thing because it's responsible, I've kidded myself because this two-legged animal called Betty is the view I have of a reality much greater than anything Betty could ever do. And I would rather live with the reality that's present when Betty shows up than to just live with Betty.
Right. Right.
Because without me present, Betty isn't worth a snap of the finger. I'm not sure what she's worth with, with a snap of the finger, but I know that without the recognition of something present greater than what you're seeing on the surface, there isn't much point to life.
Right. Yeah, I could get that. Well, there's all you are is kind of at the effect of everything around you. If that's where you're grounding yourself.
If you don't see yourself in a bigger sense than the thing you see in the mirror.
Right. Right. So I'm going to take the opportunity to let everybody know that Betty is going to be doing a live cast on September 13th called Standing and Being, Your Gateway to Conscious Living Beyond Ordinary Experience. And you can go out to scientificmetaphysics.org/livecast-with-Betty, and you can check it out and register to attend. It's going to be a 3-hour event with Betty, really diving into this concept and all of these ideas that she teaches and has been teaching for well over 70 years. So if you want to have that reality with a true master and have that be part of your own growth and development, check it out and get yourself registered to attend September 13th. All right.
Question.
Yes.
Will they be able to ask questions?
Yes, they'll be able to interact with Betty, ask questions. It's an
Okay.
interactive thing, so you'll get real coaching right there one-on-one. And let me tell you, it is an experience you will never, ever regret having put yourself in place to be part of that. So check it out. If that speaks to you, get yourself registered. And it'll all be live via Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can attend.
It's Zoom, isn't it?
Yep, live via Zoom. So that's what I wanted to say. And it looks like our time is really up today. So if you've liked this conversation, go ahead and click the thumbs up or the heart, and let us know that you appreciated it. We can take all of that we can get. And then we will see you next week, where we'll continue this conversation and step into even more of a conversation. So thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next week.
All right.